As the silence of night falls, the world slowly breathes. Distant roads, undrawn maps, and the first steps into the unknown. Tonight, we embark on one of history's longest and quietest journeys. Some journeys weren't for war, some weren't for wealth. They began simply out of a desire and curiosity to discover new places. And there are some people who, unaware that they will change the world, embark on journeys into the unknown. One walked from east to west, while another dreamed from west to east. One listened carefully to every piece of land his feet touched. The other set sail across the ocean, believing there was a world beyond the horizons. This story is a story of war, a story of steps taken for dreams to be realized, a story of roads, not wars, a story of silence, not noise. Ibn Battuta, an explorer who emerged from the narrow streets of Morocco and walked tirelessly for years. An observer who slept on caravan routes, stayed in foreign cities, and traversed languages and cultures. And Christopher Columbus, an explorer who watched the stars at night on the seas, listened to the direction of the wind, and sailed towards unknown waters. His journey began where the maps ended. In this video, we will not listen to the noise of great discoveries. We will listen to the silent moments of those journeys, the moments when footsteps touched the earth, the nights when the waves crashed fiercely against the ship, those long and calm moments when one stopped to look at the sky during the voyage. Now, slow down your thoughts, relax your breathing, and slowly accompany us on this silent journey. In the depths of the night, when the world was not yet even defined by maps, the roads were not just made of stone and sand, the roads were woven with the curiosities within people. Some set out on these roads to conquer them, others simply to understand. When Ibn Battuta, at the age of 21, set out alone, he was not thinking of establishing a state, nor of engraving his name in history with golden letters. He simply wanted to walk, from land to land, from person to person, even while sleeping in caravanserais at night. The languages whispered by the wind reached his ears: Arabic, Persian, Turkish, Hindi, Latin. Each sound opened the door to another land. As he traveled thousands of kilometers, the sound of camels' hooves told him that time was slowing down. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. He never hurried, because this journey wasn't for speed, it was for the depth of the path. In another corner of the same era, the silence of the ocean was calling another traveler. This person was none other than Christopher Columbus, who, when he went up on deck at night, would look into the darkness of the sea and believe that something existed beyond the horizons. When the waves were calm, the sky and the sea almost merged. The stars were his compass. Silence was his most faithful companion. Both travelers belonged to different worlds, but they shared the same feelings: to move calmly towards the unknown. These journeys took place not with noise, but with silence. Perhaps that's why, even today, they envelop us with a peace close to sleep. Ibn Battuta and Christopher Columbus lived centuries and continents apart, but there was an invisible bond connecting them: roads. For Ibn Battuta, the road was full of people. Caravans, ports, inns, mosques. At every stop there was a new voice, a new language, a new life. He gained the places he passed through. He listened to them. In the cities he visited, he watched the streets before the lamps went out at night. He took inspiration from the story of a merchant, the prayer of a scholar, the laughter of a child. For him, the road was not something to rush through. The road was a time to be lived. Columbus's road, however, was different. Silent. On the open seas for days nothing could be seen. Only the rhythm of the waves, the whisper of the wind on the sails, and the changing colors of the sky. In this silence, one could not escape one's own thoughts. Standing on deck at night and gazing at the stars, Columbus's mind slowed down. Time stretched on, his heartbeat calmed. The sea did not frighten. When properly rested, it lulled him to sleep. Both travelers knew one truth. The journey was not just about the destination. The journey was an element that silenced the noise within a person, and that is why, even centuries later, these journeys still convey tranquility to us. The world wasn't as small a place in ancient times as it is today. Traveling from one city to another would take weeks, sometimes months, and on these long journeys, silence was a person's greatest companion. Ibn Battuta noticed how deep the night grew as he traveled through the desert. When the daytime heat subsided, the sky opened, the stars seemed to draw closer to the ground. The camel's steps were regular. Each step was like a slow stamp on time. Along the way, conversations decreased, thoughts increased. A journey wasn't just about covering distance. Each stop meant getting to know another life. Different languages, different smells, different nights. But the silence of the night was the same everywhere. This silence calmed the traveler and softened the mind. In the middle of the sea, however, there was a completely different silence. The nights were long on Columbus's ships. The shore became invisible, the horizon line disappeared in the darkness, the sky and the sea literally merged, directions almost disappeared. At these moments, one could only listen to the sound of the waves. Time grew heavy at sea. Days passed slowly, nights grew longer, and waiting became a part of the journey. Sometimes there were no signs. Sometimes only the direction of the wind changed. These explorers were not hasty people at all. They had learned to flow with the unknown rather than forcibly discover it. Each day was a continuation of the previous day. Each night was a time when thoughts deepened further. As the journey lengthened, the world grew, not outside but inside the person. Silence ceased to be frightening. It accompanied slowly, like a friend, and these silent journeys brought one to the brink of sleep. Now, as you listen to this story, don't rush either. Let your mind slow down, like these long roads, waves, sounds, stars. Did you feel them all in the same rhythm, calm and deep, drawing you in? As the night progressed, the world slowly fell silent, and the journeys of the great explorers were not only on the map, but also began to deepen into the inner world of the individual. The hurried sounds of the day receded. Time diminished imperceptibly. These journeys were not hurried expeditions. They were writing the stories of long strides taken not impatiently, but patiently. Each step was like preparation for the next. No one hurried. No one tried to catch up. As Ibn Battuta's footprints slowly made their way along the sandy roads of North Africa, almost nothing could be heard except the sound of the wind. The coolness that followed the daytime heat gently spread into the night. The road was long but not tiring, because the road itself was becoming something more than just a destination. At each stop there was a different language, a different face, a different city. But the nights were all alike. It is silent, it is cool, it is thought-provoking. For Ibn Battuta, the journey is not merely about reaching a destination. It is about not straying from the path. Sometimes, during long journeys lasting months, sometimes years, there are nights spent in inns, beautiful and enjoyable nights, rooms where the smell of earth is felt, scholarly conversations held by the light of oil lamps, and long nights spent in silence. These nights do not tire the person. On the contrary, they slow down the mind. They eliminate thoughts within themselves. The mind would be freed from the chaos of the day and become simpler. Again, at the same time, in a completely different geography, Christopher Columbus is alone with the sea. The sky is clear. The moonlight strikes the waves. The ship's deck is silent. The crew does not speak at all. Only the slight creaking of the wooden ship and the touch of the wind on the sails can be heard. These sounds are not disturbing. On the contrary, they are in harmony with the night. For Columbus, the night was not frightening. Night was the calmest time for contemplation. He would gaze at the horizon for a long time. In the darkness that blended with the waves, he would dream of the unknown parts of the world. There were even places not on the maps, burning with the desire to discover them. These were always on his mind, and Columbus would discover the undiscovered world. The common thread in these voyages is not speed, it is patience. Neither Ibn Battuta nor Columbus hurried. Days followed one another, nights chased days. Every day, every night, resembled the previous one but was never exactly the same. Time on these journeys flowed like water, calmly, and we, as observers, surrendered ourselves to this calm rhythm. There was no more haste. The mind, like these ancient paths, began to expand. Thoughts drifted away one by one. Only silence remained, and this silence was one of the oldest gateways to sleep. As the night progressed and the world slowly fell silent, the journeys of the great explorers continued, journeys that deepened the inner world of the individual. These journeys were not hasty expeditions. They were long walks where time was heavy, steps were taken calmly, and thoughts slowly took shape. As Ibn Battuta's footprints followed the sandy roads of North Africa, almost nothing could be heard except the sound of the wind. The sun had long since set. The coolness of the night slowly erased the warmth of the day. Every step was taken not only on the earth, but also on time. At every stop, there was a different language, a different face, a different story. But the nights were all alike. They were silent. They were cool and thought-provoking. For Ibn Battuta, the road was not merely about reaching a destination. The road was the very place one stayed. During journeys that lasted for months, sometimes years, there were nights spent sleeping in inns, whispers echoing between stone walls, long conversations by candlelight, and then the silences that followed. Instead of prompting thought, these silences, on the contrary, slowed the mind. Thoughts calmed with the night. The traveler's heart would keep pace with his steps. In a completely different geography, Christopher Columbus was struggling with the sea and the waves, striving to achieve his goal. On the ship's deck, the moonlight spread like silver over the waves. After long conversations, no one spoke. Only the sound of the ship's progress and the gentle touch of the wind on the sails could be heard. These sounds formed the rhythm of the night. For Columbus, nights were a time of peace. Night was for thinking, after all. The regular sound coming from between the waves soothed the mind. Looking at the horizon, he imagined the unknown sides of the world. He carried in his mind even the coasts not on maps, the lands yet to be named. These journeys will continue until he reaches his goal. There was patience, tranquility, and ultimately victory. Neither Ibn Battuta nor Columbus hurries. As the days follow one another, the nights slow everything down. Each day resembles the previous, one more, but it is never the same. Time loses its rigidity on these journeys. Hours lose their meaning. Only footsteps and waves, and as observers we surrender ourselves to this calm rhythm. Footsteps slow down, environments deepen, people fall silent. The mind, like these ancient paths, begins to expand. Thoughts fall silent one by one, and the night, passing through history, invites us to its own tranquility. Sleep has begun to draw us in. We have little time left to sleep. As time passes, the sounds of the journeys fade further. There is no longer the echo of footsteps or the haste of the wind. It is as if the world has slowly held its breath around the great explorers. For Ibn Battuta, these moments are the deepest points of the journey. After days of walking, he stops at the edge of a town. The earth still carries the warmth of the day, but the coolness of night slowly descends. The sky is vast, the stars are close, and the silence is so dense that it fills one's soul. In this silence, thoughts do not hasten. On the contrary, they slow down. The mind calms down like a river and begins to flow in a winding course. The road is no longer just the earth beneath one's feet. The road transforms into an invisible line passing through memories. In the dim corner of an inn, as the lamplight flickers, conversations descend to whispers. Voices do not rise. No one hurries. Every word waits a moment before being spoken. And sometimes it's never said. At the same time, in the middle of the ocean, Columbus's ship is almost motionless. The waves are not rough. The wind doesn't roar. It only reminds us of its presence. The sails gently fill, then relax again. Even standing on the ship's deck becomes a kind of meditation. It's difficult to distinguish where the sky ends and the sea begins. This uncertainty doesn't create fear. On the contrary, it soothes. For Columbus, these are the moments when maps fall silent. Lines, names, and directions lose their importance. Only rhythm remains. The rhythm of the waves, the rhythm of breath, the slow flow of time. These journeys whisper to us, great discoveries are not made with noise, they grow in silence. One only truly begins to see one's surroundings when one slows down, and now for everyone watching, this journey evolves into something else. Shoulders relax, eyelids grow heavy, thoughts fade one by one into silence, like footsteps blending into the night. Like the horizon disappearing, the mind no longer strives to stay awake. Night has now completely fallen. The sky slowly darkens to a deep blue, and the stars begin to appear one by one. At this hour, the journey is not just about covering distance. At this hour, the path opens up to one's own inner self. As Ibn Battuta rests in a small hut built outside the city walls, the sounds around him gradually fade. The crowds of the day have dispersed. The noise of the marketplaces, the hustle and bustle of the streets, the conversations, all is left behind. Now there is only the gentle hum of the wind and a dog barking in the distance. For Battuta, these moments are the most precious times of the journey, because nights compel one to listen calmly, to think without haste, to observe without judgment. The shadows stretching out in the flickering light of a lamp remind him of the cities he has passed through. Each city is different, but the feeling of the nights is the same. It is silent, it is deep, it is slow-paced. Time expands at these moments. Minutes don't stretch on like hours. On the contrary, hours pass unnoticed. The path ceases to be a line drawn on a map. The path transforms into a long corridor opening within the mind. On those same nights, another silence prevails in the middle of the ocean. As Christopher Columbus's ship slowly moves across the waves, the sea becomes calm, almost as if it is breathing. The wind, harsh during the day, softens at night. The sails are gently tightened, then loosened again. The footsteps on deck are infrequent. Most of the crew have fallen asleep. Those who are awake do not speak because this silence does not want to be broken. Columbus squints as he looks at the horizon. What is visible before him is not clear, but this uncertainty does not disturb him. On the contrary, it calms his mind. The sea at night it teaches one to be patient. It teaches one to wait. It reminds us that not everything has to be immediately apparent. Battuta on land, Columbus at sea, two separate paths, two separate geographies. The rhythm of the night is the same. These journeys are not tales of triumph, nor are they adventures told quickly. These are experiences. Steps become heavier. Waves crash against the shore at regular intervals. The wind is neither harsh nor completely absent, and this rhythm draws the listener in. The mind is freed from the burdens of the day. Thoughts slow. Attention doesn't have to be focused on a single point. At these hours, history doesn't speak to teach. History only accompanies. The paths Ibn Battuta traveled are no longer memories. They are sources of tranquility. The horizon Columbus gazed upon is no longer a fear of the unknown. It is a realm of serenity. And as we listen to these journeys, we unknowingly begin our own inner journey. The mind relaxes, the body rests, the threshold of sleep approaches silently. As time passes, the profound loneliness inherent in these great journeys becomes clearer. The roads Ibn Battuta traveled were not crowded. Sometimes a caravan accompanied him, sometimes a lone horse, and sometimes just the earth beneath his feet. As the sun sets, the sky slowly changes color. Orange tones fade, blue gives way to darkness, and the coolness of the night brings thoughts with it. At these moments, the traveler listens not only to his surroundings but also to himself. There is no talking for a long time. There is thinking for a long time. The road has its own voice, but there is no need for words. For Ibn Battuta, every stop is not a break. It is a moment of introspection. Different cities, different people, different traditions, but the nights are always familiar. The same silence, the same stars, the same slowness. At the same time, Columbus is in a similar silence in the middle of the ocean. The sea is turbulent during the day, but it takes on a completely different character at night. The waves soften, the wind blows more steadily, the ship glides on the water. At these moments, the world shrinks, thoughts expand. For Columbus, night is the time to find his way. As the compass silently turns, eyes wander to the sky. Stars are more reliable than maps. The future is not discussed. The past is also left behind. Only the present exists, and this present invites one to a deep tranquility. There is no speed on these journeys. There is no room for haste. Everything flows as it should. Time is not rigid. It is soft. It is flexible. And as observers, we unconsciously adapt to this rhythm. Shoulders relax, breathing slower. The mind expands like these ancient paths. It drifts away. It calms down. The silent journeys of the great explorers were, in fact, gateways to one's own inner journey, and these doors open in the quietest moments of the night. As time passes, footprints on the roads fade. The wind reshapes the sands in the lands Ibn Battuta traveled. The sea, with its waves, covers everything on the routes Columbus followed. But do these journeys truly end? Perhaps the real journey begins not at the destination, but in the silence left behind. While Ibn Battuta jots down notes in his notebook at the end of his years-long journeys, he records not only what he saw, but also what he felt. He doesn't race against time as he moves from one city to another. At night, sitting in the courtyard of a distant inn, he looks at the sky. The stars are the same, but a person changes a little more each night. The road simplifies a person. It reduces what one carries. Thoughts become lighter. The mind is freed from unnecessary burdens. The same simplification occurs on Columbus's ship in the middle of the ocean. The days resemble each other. The horizon seems unchanging. But every night spent at sea opens a new door in one's inner world. Silence here is not an emptiness. Silence is the rest of thoughts. In the late hours of the night, when everyone on the ship has fallen asleep, Columbus is left alone on deck. As the moonlight illuminates the sea, the world seems to turn a little slower. At these moments, neither maps nor destinations matter. There is only and waiting. Although these two journeys take place in very distant geographies, they converge at the same point, in patience, in silence, and in those deep moments when one is alone with oneself. Now, as we listen to this story, we adapt to their pace. Our minds stop thinking quickly. The sounds, images, and words accumulated throughout the day slowly fade away. There is nothing to rush anymore. Eyelids grow heavy, breathing becomes more regular. Thoughts don't have to be clear, just like old roads. Sometimes just being on the road is enough. Now, let this silent journey carry you. You don't have to reach a destination, nor remember anything. Just rest. History stops speaking for you tonight and gives way to a peaceful silence.